and welcome to the show. Today we have a fantastic guest, Pedro Burton, and he is actually one of our happy VA buyers. So we'd like to welcome Pedro to the show.
Thank you, Deborah. Thank you, Deborah. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great to have you today, Pedro. Pedro, can you, to start off with, because since this is a VA radio show, could you tell us a little bit about your military background?
Sure. So I was born and raised in England, but and my father, I should say, was in the Air Force, so we did a lot of traveling. And upon his retirement, he decided he wanted to move to California. So that's basically where I went to high school. And once I graduated, I decided on the way home one day from work that I wanted to go to the recruiter station to check it out. Well, I went to the recruiter station in Sunnyvale, or actually it was Cupertino, California.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, because I used to commute from San Jose all the way to Cupertino to go to school. But anyway, I was going down Stevens Creek Boulevard, and lo and behold, there it was, a recruiting office. So I went in and watched these really cool videos and spoke with the recruiters, and next thing I know, I was signed up and on the delayed entry program to join the Marine Corps. So approximately 6-7 months later, my time came around. The recruiter came to my house and said, "Congratulations, tomorrow you are on your way." So I said goodbye to everybody, and on the bus I went, showed up at MCRD San Diego, where I attended boot camp, left boot camp, went to school in Aberdeen, Maryland, and then started my career as a Marine in 1978.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh, that's an amazing story. So now what kind of work are you doing now? I'm guessing that you're out of the Marines by now, correct?
Correct. Yeah. So I did approximately 30 plus years while I was active duty in the Marine Corps. Obviously, I came in as a private, got meritoriously promoted out of boot camp for, I guess, doing so well. And then fast forward 30 years, and I retired as a Master Gunnery Sergeant in the Marine Corps. Now, back to train up. When I first came in, I was a tanker stationed at 29 Palms. And that MOS kind of got slow and boring. And then this new MOS came out that dealt with what they called light armored vehicles. So I was interested in that and made a lat move over. And from that point forward, I stayed in the LAV community, the LAR, Light Armored Reconnaissance Battalions, from the rank of sergeant all the way to Master Gunnery Sergeant. And my tours with that MOS ranged from Camp Pendleton, 29 Palms, Okinawa, Japan, et cetera, et cetera. And then, of course, we had the combat deployments to Iraq and Afghanistan and so forth and so on.
Oh my gosh, you had quite the career. That's amazing. And
yeah.
I just want to add in, thank you for serving. I mean, 30 plus years, that's phenomenal. And I just want to thank you so much for serving our country.
Sure, you're welcome. You know, the time seemed like at first it went by so fast on my first enlistment that I made that conscious decision to go ahead and re-enlist, which was a good thing. And I tell so many young Marines now that are contemplating getting out and they really don't have a plan.
Right.
To say, you know what, you're going to do time. You're going to do time here in the Marine Corps. You're going to do time elsewhere. The bottom line is you're going to do time, and you got to build a nest egg for your retirement. So why not do it in the military, serve the country and serve yourself. And once you retire, you're going to be taken care of for the rest of your life. And you get so many benefits. And of course, one, simply VA loans.
Right. No, well, that's good that you're encouraging others to do the same thing that you did. Now, what kind of work are you doing now that you're retired from the military?
So I retired, and oh yeah, I think you asked me just a little bit long a while ago. I kind of got off track.
I know,
So
that's fine.
yeah, so I work for a civilian company, Salex Solution, that is contracted to support the government. So what we do is we assist the Naval Weapons Station Fallbrook during testings uh, for the Department of Defense. We basically gather ammunition from all over the world, and we have certain types of tests that we have to perform on this ammunition to make sure that it meets manufacturer specifications once it is sent to active duty units that are deployed in combat or in garrison for test firing and training operations. So summing it all up, we test ammunition for the Department of Defense, which includes all branches of service, right here at the Naval Weapons Station. It doesn't physically get tested here, but this is our headquarters.
Oh, that's amazing. So now what exactly are you testing? What are the things that you actually are testing?
So yeah, so the ammunition ranges all the way from a simple 22 bullet to technological missiles, rockets, and everything in between. I can't get too specific on it because there's confidentiality on some of the ammunition because of the manufacturers, but everything that you can imagine that you hear about on the news, read about in the media, is what we can test.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Right.
That's
So
amazing.
the government entity side of it, they have multiple engineers, PhDs, mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, chemical engineers, and collectively as an organization, they generate and build and buy all the apparatus to test this particular, the type of ammunition, the DOTIC, that we get requested to test by the manufacturer.
Oh my gosh.
So it's pretty interesting. You grow up as a little kid and you like to blow things up. And now I'm a grown man and I'm blowing things up, or systems. I mean, I do a lot of logistics work in support of the tests and the test sites to make sure that it can be executed along with the team members that I work with. So it's combined effort. It's something that it's not a one-man show, and there's a lot of people involved, a lot of reports, and a lot of finite detail that has to be documented and presented to the customer to ensure that they are getting what they request.
Yeah. Well, it actually sounds very, very interesting.
It is.
Yeah, it sounds very interesting. Well, one question that I had for you was there's so few people in Southern California that are vets that have actually used their VA loan. And how did you first find out about the VA loan, that you could actually use it to buy a home?
Well, I first heard about the VA loans was in the early 90s, and that's where I actually purchased my first home in Oceanside, California, which is not that far. It's just, one couple cities down. And I heard it from a senior Marine back then while I was in the Marine Corps who had previously purchased a home and used the VA. And I was clueless. I had no idea what that meant. As a matter of fact, I thought the VA loan was like a lender, that they were going to give me the money to go buy my house, and that's what I had to pay back. That was how I understood it, only to find out that that's not how it works. Obviously, over the years, I've become more educated on it. So the person that I was with back then, she was also an active duty Marine. So collectively together, we put our heads together collectively, got with a couple of representatives from the VA side of the house, and that's how we got started. And it was back then, it was called, I don't know if they still call it this, or if there's another acronym or another word, but they call it a VA no-no. So it was like no money down and no closing costs. So it's kind of similar to what they have today. So I couldn't beat it. We found the house that we thought it was going to be our dream house, even though it was our first one. Kind of
Mhm.
funny. A house that we thought we could never ever afford, and collectively together through the process, we were able to purchase it through the VA.
That's fantastic. That's
Hmm.
fantastic.
Yeah, it was very,
And
very motivating.
that's wonderful. So was the process, once you started the process, was it fairly simple?
It was. I mean, I was kind of inundated with the amount of paperwork because
Right,
I just had never been exposed to it.
right.
And it seemed like I was signing things over and over and over and over and over and over and
Yeah,
over. And it was so much to read because, being a first time buyer, I wanted to dot the I's and cross the T's and read every little disclosure just to make sure I knew what I was signing, because you basically sign everything. And as I was going through the process, my VA rep was telling me, hey, this is not important. And I kept saying, well, if it's not important, why do you want my signature on it? But it was just a part of the process and that I had to go through to get to the end, finally in closing, where you have a notary, and then everything has to be picture perfect, and you have to read every letter of the sentence to make sure it reads the way you want before you sign. So it was kind of overwhelming at first, but I had great company to help me through the process to quickly define what it was that I was signing to make me
right.
understand better.
Yeah, which is good. Plus, Pedro, with your background, you're an extremely detail-oriented person. So honestly, I can see where you would read every single word, which is actually, but
Yes.
it's actually very good, but not everyone's like you. But
Right.
kudos to you for actually reading what you're signing. That's very, very good. So
Yeah.
now, how many times, I know you've used your VA loan a few times. So how many times can you tell us that you've used the VA loan?
I have, yeah. So it's interesting because at the very beginning, I thought, the VA loan, you could use it once and done. That's it.
Yeah,
But over the years, policies have changed. VA's gotten better, and things, it's more conducive and beneficial to the veterans. So I've literally had two loans and two refis through the VA. So my first home was in Oceanside, which was a purchase. Then my second home was in Vista that I refied, and then my technically my well that was yeah my third home, I guess you could call it, was here in Fallbrook, that I purchased, and now I'm in the process of refining it. So there was two purchases and two refis.
that's fantastic.
Right. And, as the years progressed, the amount increased. So when I first bought the home in Oceanside, the amount that the VA would back up was a lot less than what it is now. Pretty much now the sky's the limit. I
Right.
don't know exactly what the cap, and it all, from what I gathered, it's based on geographical location, because some places the cost of living is higher than others. However, it's relative to the area. So, without going out on a limb, if there's a veteran out there that sees a home and wants a smooth process with great benefits, utilize the VA, and I'm almost sure they'll back your loan up for the amount of purchase for the property you're interested in.
Right. That's pretty much correct. So thank you for adding that, Pedro. And
Sure.
can you just tell us a little bit about the last home that you purchased in Fallbrook?
Well, Deborah, as you well know, so it's so funny. I decided I wanted to move from Vista to Fallbrook,
Mhm.
and I was looking for a realtor, and I found my first one that I fired, and a second one that
Pedro.
I let go, and the third one that just didn't interest me. Then I came across yourself.
Oh,
And the process with you as my realtor was phenomenal. Um, you obviously provided this home for me to take a look at, and I did. And once I saw it, I fell in love with it. And from that moment forward, we negotiated with the seller's realtor and the sellers. And lo and behold, if I remember correctly, it was the next day that they had one stipulation, and the stipulation I met, and that was a rent back, if I recall. They wanted to rent back for a period of time because they were moving to Florida, and their property hadn't been fully developed yet. So I said, yeah, sure, that's a piece of cake. And the process went forward, and here I am in this lovely house in Fallbrook, thanks to you and everyone that assisted.
Well, thanks, Pedro. You're so sweet. You're so kind. But I do just want to say, honestly, your home is one of my very favorite homes
Oh, thank you.
I've ever had a client buy. And I just want to mention for the audience, it's on 4 acres. It's a gated estate, a beautiful home, all on one level. It had been owned by an interior designer. Yes. Amazing views of the entire valley with a gorgeous pool, and just, it's an incredible home. I absolutely personally love your home, Pedro.
Yeah.
So,
I'm so addicted to the view. So I'll sit on my couch and I'll look out the sliding glass windows, doors, and the view in the evening time is phenomenal because I can see the 15 so far out. And there's either red lights that are heading south or white lights that are heading north. And it's that way at 4:30 in the morning, 7:30 in the evening, 8, 9, 10. It's really, really nice. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So you seem like you're happy there.
I am. I'm very happy.
Now, don't you have grandchildren that come and visit you?
I do. I have 7 grandchildren from 4 daughters.
Wow.
Yeah, 7 grandchildren from 4 daughters. And as a matter of fact, Father's Day is coming up this weekend, so I'm sure the house is going to be full. But yes, as a matter of fact, one of my daughters lives here in Fallbrook with 2 of my grandkids, and she is about 5 miles away. So that's very convenient.
But
yeah, they like to come over, and 4 acres can entertain any child.
Right. No, definitely. And I bet they've enjoyed your pool too.
Yes, yeah, they romp around the property. They're in and out of the pool. And the adults will sit on the upper level because the pool is kind of at a lower level of the property. Right. And there's a nice, beautiful staircase, concrete staircase that goes down to it. Kind of reminds me of like Julius Caesar. Every time I walk down it, I feel like a king or a pharaoh or somebody.
Exactly. That is the feeling. That is the feeling of your estate that you bought. I feel the same way. So I totally understand what you're saying. Well, anyway, Pedro, that's all the time that we have. So thank you so much for being our guest today.
Sure.
Joe Molina. He's president.
Hi, Joe. How are you?
Thank you, Pedro. Veterans National Chamber of Commerce. So, Joe, what would you like to say?
Well, I just first of all, thank you, Deborah, for bringing Pedro to the show, and it's amazing and always very encouraging to see happy buyers and their experience through the process. And I'm so glad to hear that you had such a great experience, Pedro, with the process. And I echo the perfection, or if I can say that, through the process of the VA, when you have the right realtor, the right agent.
Yes.
Yes. Now, and what Deborah was saying before is that a lot of veterans don't really know about the process of what they have available to them. And that is the reason why we created the Housing for Heroes program, to bring buyers or veterans of military families to connect with people like Deborah, who are committed, who are engaging, who have the best intention at heart to help the military families and the veterans purchase their home. One of the things, as you know, owning a home is the foundation of a family. With the home, you have a foundation. So the objective of the Housing for Heroes is to create and to help provide that foundation through the network of agents and lenders. So I'm just happy to be here and meet you, and kind of thank you for sharing your experience with Deborah. Deborah is one of our veteran-friendly agents, and I'm very honored, very happy to have Deborah in our team.
Right, and I'll say, I give Deborah accolades because of the process that I went through. I'm sure you remember, Deborah, I was in Arizona most of the time. All the documents were being tossed back and forth, and you were so proficient that I had to take time away from what I was doing there to run to my fifth wheel, go inside, study what you sent. But the neat thing about it was you had highlighted or had a separate piece of paper of the things that you thought I would feel that were important or were important to the document, so that I didn't have to strum through every single detail right there and then, that I could do it later at time. And because of that, that whole process between yourself and Dan, the broker, with the lender, and you as the realtor, and the killer deal that I got coming into here through the VA backing it up. Oops, that's one of my daughters. It was phenomenal. It really was. Absolutely.
Yeah, and Pedro, thank you so much. And I just want to say that you were fantastic to work with.
Awesome.
So yeah, you were amazing to work with. And I just wanted to mention how much Joe Molina has done for the Veterans Chamber of Commerce and the veterans as well. So I'm glad you could join us today, Joe.
Well, it is always my pleasure, Deborah. And before we go, we do have a question on the screen that we would like to address. And Jimmy, can you thank you. So they want to know, this is through LinkedIn, are there realtors in California who focus on VA loans? And I'm guessing that goes to you, Deborah, and for them to get in touch with you. And how would they get in touch with you?
Oh, with me? Mm-hmm. They can email me at deborahkemp1@gmail.com or call me at 310-903-7877.
Oh, great. Thank you. And just so everyone knows, Deborah is our lead realtor, lead agent in the Orange County and Inland Empire, who deals with and helps and supports veterans, military families when they're going through the process of purchasing a home. Our job as a Veterans Chamber of Commerce, I have to do a disclaimer before we go. We're not a real estate agency. We don't deal with the process of any part. Everything is done through licensed agents like Deborah or lenders like Dan. So they work through the process. We don't get involved on any part of it. We're not a real estate agency. We just have to disclaim that, kind of like an attorney used to have to do that. So, but our program is engage is the main focus is to engage veterans like Pedro and connect them and provide the platform so they can connect with agents like Deborah and others in her team to help people with the VA process. We do have one last question. This is for you, Deborah, also, do you have to move the VA loan as a traditional loan to buy a second home?
Do you have to remove the VA loan?
Yes. That's what Pedro too, I guess. That's what the question said. So do you have to get rid of the VA loan and move that into a traditional loan like FHA or anything like that? Or they still keep both the same as VA loans?
As far as I know, you can only have one VA loan at a time.
Okay. So Pedro, maybe based on your experience, how did it work for you to have two VA loans?
Well, I never had them at the same time. So one was either paid off in full, and then I moved into the following loan.
Okay.
Or on the refi, it was simply a refi. Okay. To get a lower APR, and we went once again through the VA. Through the VA loan process for the refi. So both purchases, were separate from one another, and but as I mentioned earlier in the podcast, throughout the time, the amount that the VA would back for a loan or for a property purchase has increased exponentially. So from the 300,000 back in the 90s to whatever it is now, yeah, I'm not sure what the cap is, if there is
Well,
even a
we've
cap.
done loans, VA loans for 2.5 million.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
I guess it's if you qualify, you qualify. You get what you want.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, I guess that really was the question that was asked, and that was addressing whether you can have dual VA loans, but like you said, they have to get rid of, kind of pay it off to get a new one.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Well, again, thank you, Deborah, for inviting me to the show. It's always a pleasure to kind of join your guests, and thank you for allowing me to say hi to Pedro, a VA happy home buyer. And congratulations on your home on Fallbrook.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, they do have beautiful views there. That's for sure.
Goodness.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much. And I'll go back to you, Deborah, so you can close the show.
Okay, well, thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you, Pedro, for being with us, and have a wonderful summer. And I'm sure we'll talk soon.
Okay, definitely. I'll give you the status on what we talked about yesterday.
Exactly. Okay, thanks, Pedro.
All
Okay,
right, thank you, Deborah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.